us. Luckily for them, Denver time zone is a couple hours behind us. So they're going to join us here. And we will go ahead and get started.
All right, hey everyone, how y'all doing? My name is Steve Wald. I'm with National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and as you just heard, both Alex and I, and Shelly here is in the background as well, working with, we're from Denver, Colorado, actually a south suburb of Denver. So tonight we're just pleased and honored to be here to talk a little bit about some beef cuts and do a little cooking demo. So we're, again, very excited, so thank you very much. And it'd be bad for me to not mention the Penn State Nittany Lions. I heard they're rocking right now, so good for you guys. I don't know if you're all Penn State fans, but anyway, had to mention it. First, all right. Hey, so what we have here today is a beef chuck roll. And there's a lot of you on there who probably know more about meat and stuff than I do, but I'm going to start kind of from the very beginning. So again, this is a beef chuck roll, and just to kind of orient where this comes from, Shelly, just make sure I can see this. Everyone can see it. This is the beef carcass, and so this piece here comes from this area right here, right at the front of the animal, in that shoulder area. So I'm just going to set this over here. And what we're going to do, we're going to fabricate this and take it apart into more useful cuts. So in the past, and even today, you go to the grocery store and you see a whole chuck roll that's cut into chuck roast or chuck steaks. And so what they do, they just cross-section it this way into big chunks, and they sell it like that as a pot roast or a chuck roast. And you can do a lot of cool things with a pot roast or a chuck roast. You know, you could certainly eat it as, you know, traditional pot roast, but, you know, shred it apart and make barbecue sandwiches and, you know, burritos and what have you. But what we're going to do, we're going to try and take it apart a little bit more today, just and look at the individual muscles within this. So with that said, there are two portions of this chuck roll. So I'm going to use the term chuck roll, and you're going to hear the term chuck eye roll, which is a little bit separate. So this is the whole piece, it's a chuck roll. And there's two big portions of this. First is what's called the chuck eye roll, which sits on the top here. And then there's another portion here, whoops, the chuck eye roll, which sits right here. And then on the top here is what's called the underblade, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is work to separate these two muscles first, and then in the underblade, there's a couple more that I'll take out. This is really kind of a cool muscle. It's actually one of my favorite muscles in the whole beef carcass. But so when I first take this apart, really what I'm gonna do is just kind of use my hands to separate this. So you can kind of see here, you just kind of pull it apart with your hands a little bit, you can get started with it. And I'll get my knife here in a second, just to kind of get me started on this. I'm gonna flip it over. And you got this side too. This is a little backwards. So, here we go. So I'm just going to start, again, here's the underblade and here's the chuck eye roll portion of it. And I'm just going to go through here and separate these. And again, I'm going to kind of use my hands to do that as I'm cutting through here. And again, what I'm doing is just separate these into two more useful pieces. And right now, you can buy this whole chuck roll. Wholesale price is about $4.32 a pound for this whole piece, which is today's market's pretty good. I'm not saying that's a great price in general, but for today's market, that's pretty good. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing very well here. But again, this separates really easily, actually. And if you're good at cutting, you can probably do it a lot quicker and faster than I can. All right. So Here we have the whole chuck eye roll, and I'm going to set that aside for right now. And here we have what's called the underblade. And there's, depending on how they do it, the packing plant, there's basically 3 main muscles here. And I don't know if you like to talk muscle terminology, the Latin terms, but I'll throw out some terms. There's something called the subscapularis, which is usually on there, the rhomboideus muscle, which is the hump muscle. So if you ever picture one of those big bulls from Texas, the Brahma bulls where they have that big hump muscle on the back, that's the rhomboideus muscle. And if you're eating that muscle from one of those animals, generally they're not that good, but some of these can be all right. And then there's a cut called the Splenius, and then the main portion here, which is to me the best one, is called the Serratus ventralis muscle. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to work at taking this off, separating these a little bit. So in order to do that, I'm going to take some of this top fat off, just so you can see it, the muscles, and how the conformation of the muscle is on the animal. And again, what I'm doing right now is just taking the top layer of sinew and fat off, so you can see how the muscle fibers and the shape of the muscle, because this is actually a very unique muscle. And again, usually this is just sold as pot roast in the retail store, but we're doing a little extra to it today to add value to it, especially from a food service operation. Gosh, I just cut towards myself. Don't ever do that. That's a bad habit of mine. Hopefully they teach you that. And we're almost ready to show you what I've got here. All right, so right now, again, the underblade and this top muscle right here is called the splenius muscle, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and take that muscle off, and again, just by kind of peeling it apart a little bit, first with my hands, get my knife blade underneath there. And this just usually comes off pretty nice. I have butchered a few over time. Try not to do that today. I'll flip it around so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. So sitting on top of here, I'm just kind of peeling it backwards. And really just getting between this muscle, and there's a layer of fat that runs right through the middle there. Okay. Now the back side here, just going to take off that top layer of fat. Here I am cutting towards myself again. And this muscle here is called, the fanciful name for it is called the Sierra steak, Sierra cut. And you may have never heard of that. It's relatively new in the meat industry. But the great thing about this cut is that you can buy skirt steak right now or flank steak right now, you know, $8 a pound, $10 a pound, or whatever. But this, oops, let's turn that side up there a little bit, get some more fat off. Oops, there was my towel. Into the trash can. This here, again, is the splenius muscle, the splenius steak, excuse me, splenius muscle, otherwise known as the Sierra steak. And this is, you can see the texture of the muscle fibers, the way they're running this way. So it's very flank-like. And we've kind of, you know, called it the chuck flank. That's not truly an anatomically correct name. It's kind of one of our working names for it. But however, we do now call it the Sierra. Again, very flank-like, performs very similar to a flank. I've tumbled these, marinated them, and actually they perform very well. And again, right now I'm paying with this whole piece here, and again, there has to be knife work goes into it, I get that, but $4.32 a pound, which in this market, last year, it was $3.24 a pound. So I'm gonna set that aside. Now, we have the big portion of the underblade, and then there's this muscle right here called the rhomboideus, and that's the one I mentioned a little bit ago. Shelly, can we see that? That's the rhomboideus muscle. Again, that's the hump muscle on the back of the animal. Most of the animals these days, especially in the northern states, you don't see much of that anymore. But again, some of those Brahman cattle that have that higher Brahman influence have a larger muscle. Not saying it's good or bad, it's just is what it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that from this piece right here. And then this is actually pretty easy to do. You don't have to do a whole lot of fabrication to it. But I'm just going to cut off some of this larger pieces of fat here that need to be trimmed out. But really, I'm at this point now, I'm just going to take my knife and cut straight down through here. Okay? And I got just a little bit of this underblade in there, but that's not that big of a deal. Like I say, I've roasted these before in a combi oven. They're not that bad. I wouldn't feature it necessarily on your menu though, but what you can do with this, especially if you have the ability to make your own sausage or burgers, definitely throw it into the grind mix, your trim, or what I've done numerous times is just go ahead and cut it into stew. Now, when you see these, they almost look like little tenders. Don't be tempted to make it a little tenderloin steak or something like that, because it's going to disappoint your customers. But again, makes pretty darn good stew meat. So I'm just going to set that here, and this muscle, or the other piece right there. So that leaves us with this bigger portion of this, what we call again the serratus ventralis muscle. And there's a couple little smaller muscles on there that are going to end up coming off. But this here, you can see the way the muscles work, they kind of fan out across, okay? And we kind of say it looks like a catcher's mitt in a way. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but to us it kind of does. So what I'm going to do now is just take my knife and go across the back and trim off a little of this excess fat. And I should mention to you that this muscle, the serratus ventralis muscle, and we also sometimes call it for short, the SV muscle, is the fourth most tender muscle in the beef carcass. Okay, so that's pretty good. So actually, it can make some pretty good steak. And you'll see here in a minute what I'm going to do with it and how you do that. So I've trimmed off that back side. I'll take a little bit of this fat off right here. And what we're going to end up with is a pretty good sized piece of meat that you can do a couple things with. I'm just going to square this up a bit on the back. Again, this can go into stew. This makes really good stew. Or maybe we'll do like shredded beef or something like that. Again, just kind of squaring it up. But what I'm doing, even though I'm cutting some of this stuff off, I'm actually adding value to it. So again, $4.32. Do a little math in your head. You can sell this as a decent steak. It's not a ribeye steak, but at the same time, it eats pretty darn good. So you see this piece here, and again, we're where it kind of fans out here, okay? And there's a natural seam here in like the fifth piece. So I count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if you can see that well, but there's like fat seams that run right through here. And on the fifth one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, after this fifth one, I cut that off, okay? You don't have to, but I do. So before I do that though, I'm just gonna tell you, this piece of meat right here makes a really good oven roast if you want to roast it. And when I say that, I like to smoke these things, and I'm not talking brisket smoke like 18 hours or 14 hours or whatever, the 200 degrees. I'm talking 3 or 4 hours up to about 130, 135 or something like that. They eat really, really well. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and cut this into, I'm going to, again, cut through this third section right here. So I have that piece right there, and then I have this piece here. So when you look at this, you can see how the grain runs through this. So the grain, you can see it's kind of running this way. So I'm going to start on this end, and I'm going to cut a steak. With this steak, though, I said it's the fourth most tender muscle in the carcass. You want to cut it, though, about 3/4 inch max. We found that much more than that, then it doesn't eat as well, but about, watch my knife here, about 3/4 of an inch, it eats pretty darn good. And I would also say this is described as a full flavored beef steak. So it's a full flavor. If you have some customers who like that full flavored beef, this does it. It's full flavored in a good way, not a bad way. So I'm going to cut these steaks. And you can get between 6 and 10 ounce steaks out of this. Some a little bit bigger at times. This would happen to be a pretty big chuck roll, so maybe a little bit bigger. But I'm just going to hold this up. This muscle, I don't know how well you can see this, but this muscle is really marbled in there. There's a lot of kind of muscle marbling, and that's what really brings out the flavor of beef. So this muscle really does that. And for a chuck, you think of a chuck steak or whatever, look at this, and we call this again the Denver steak. And this is a really, really good eating steak. So I'm going to cut a few more of these. I'll put this one aside. And then as for a little piece here, you can also cut these into steaks as well. Just kind of go against the grain. So the grain is running this way. And that's why I cut it there, because the grain fans out. So this way, I cut this, I split the seam in half, kind of. And now I'm going to cut against the grain going this way. And these aren't as big, but they make for pretty darn good steaks. And this we call this the loose side. And actually, I really like these little steaks. Again, not as big, but they're very tender. So a good piece of meat there. And if you don't want to do that, you can roast the whole thing, put it in pot roast, cube it like I did earlier, and have cubes. All really good. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm just going to move these steaks over here. And I'm going to bring back my Sierra steak, set it right there. And now I have this chuck eye roll, okay? And again, there's some intermuscular fat, the seams that were between the chuck eye roll and the underblade. I'm going to go ahead and take off a little extra fat here. You don't normally need to, but I'm going to do it just so you guys can see the muscle here. I don't want to cut too much into that meat. And I'm sure many of you have heard of the chuck eye steak. And this is where you get the chuck eye steak from. Now, you ask, what is a chuck eye steak? Well, I'm going to tell you. The difference between a chuck eye steak and a rib eye steak, and this is where you get the chuck eye steak from, right here, is a saw blade, okay? So the beef rib goes this way, okay? From here back or to the front of the animal is the chuck. So you can get about 3 steaks, about the first 3 inches. I'll cut off just a little bit more here. This is going to be hard to see, but there's a muscle here called the longissimus dorsi, or the longissimus muscle, and that goes into the ribeye, but it also runs into the chuck. And if you have the longissimus muscle in the chuck, you can call it a chuck eye steak. But we also named it the Delmonico. Now, some people call the ribeye steak, certain portions of it, a Delmonico, but we have coined that name for the chuck eye steak, and now USDA uses it as well for the fanciful name. So these first 3 steaks, about the first 3 inches off this chuck eye roll, can be called a chuck eye steak. You can merchandise them in that. Most grocery stores will sell those, but it's also an opportunity when a ribeye is selling for wholesale price right now, $14.49 a pound. Again, do a little fabrication. You guys can do the math. There could be opportunities here for you. Now, we have this other big piece here, and say, well, what do we do with this? Well, a couple things. Number one, left whole, like this. This is called America's beef roast, okay? Now, you can oven roast it. We call it more like the poor man's prime rib. It doesn't eat like the prime rib, but it eats, it's similar. It's not as good as the prime rib, but it eats similar. But you can also, I like to braise these as a pot roast. And like I said earlier, this whole piece here is sold as with the underblade and this piece and everything else here is sold as a chuck roast, okay? But I look at this portion here as a premium chuck roast. So if you ever want to have a premium chuck roast on your chuck pot roast on your menu, this is where it would come from. So you can leave it whole, roast it as a whole piece, or I'm going to show you a new thing that we're doing, and you're going to be blessed to see Chef Alex play with it as well here in a little bit, is country style ribs. We like to refer to them as beef boneless country style ribs. But what you do, you have this, again, America's beef roast, cut 1.5 to 2 inches. I usually like to go about 2 inches. It's maybe not quite. Just cut all the way down. I'm just going to go all the way to the end. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave it a little bit for that. Yeah, let's go all the way to the end. What the heck? And my friends, this is one of my favorite parts of the animal. There's a lot of good stuff on the animal, but this is awesome. So now we have these pieces just like this. I'm not done yet. I'm getting there, not done yet. How much time do I have? Am I looking all right? Okay. So you have these whole pieces. I don't know if you can see that, but now what you do, take your knife, cut those in half again, okay? All the way down. And these are delicious. Full beefy flavor. You braise them, finish them on the grill. Whatever you want to do with them, they're wonderful. Now I'm just going to flip them over. Whoops. Just going to flip them over so you can see what it looks like after I've cut them in half, after I've taken them from the chuck eye. All right, I've got more than I need here. So you can see what these look like. I'm just going to hold up a few for you. Shelly, is that showing? Okay. Each of these pieces, I don't know, 8 or so ounces, makes a really nice serving. Can you see that? Okay. So just in review, from the underblade, the Denver steaks, and I got a whole one here. Denver roast, which I love to smoke, and this Sierra cut, which is great as a alternative to flank. Tumble it, marinate it, it's wonderful. From the chuck eye portion of it, don't forget the chuck eye steaks. A wonderful cut, half the price right now probably of ribeyes. America's beef roast, left whole, and I went ahead and tied this. It's a little loose, so if you're, it doesn't really matter if you're in a food service operation, but if I was in retail, I'd certainly want to tie it a little bit, just make it a little bit prettier. But America's beef roast works as an oven roast, great for a premium pot roast. Put that there. And last but not least, cutting these into country style ribs. Delicious. All right. I am done. I'll be back around for some questions if you have any afterwards. We're going to turn it over to Chef Alex. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.
Hey guys, how are you? Chef Alex here. Sorry about that camera move there, but we're all set up now. Thanks, Steve, for that great breakdown of that chuck roll. Looked fantastic. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some buffalo beef bites with those country-style ribs that Steve cut out of there for you. This is a great recipe for tailgating this time of season. It's a great alternative to some hot chicken or some buffalo wings. So great way to use the beef and a different way of utilizing it as well. As Steve said, that this cut is very versatile. It's very great. You can use it in multiple different ways. Very tender when cooked properly, and it's fantastic for this. This recipe was actually developed here in this kitchen as an alternative to some chicken. A little competitive spirit in there, competitive for tailgating this time of year as well. So this is great. I know you guys are a bunch of chefs, so we're just going to kind of run through this pretty simple and easy. Like I said, great for this time of year, great to serve to your friends, great for a family meal or something like that with some leftovers. So let's get started. So I have the short ribs here in front of me. I've already broken those down into about a 1-inch dice here. I removed some of the extra fat in there just because it doesn't hold up super well in the cooking process in this. But a little bit of fat is great because it'll help season that as well. So like I said, I got this all diced up here ready to go. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to that. Some coarse ground black pepper, some granulated garlic, and just a little bit of cayenne. You can opt not to have that, but it's just a good little extra spice to have on there. And so I'm just going to mix this up. I've already got my stock pot over here preheated. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to give these a quick little sear in here, and then I'm just going to let them braise for a couple hours in there. All right, now it's all mixed up. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil in there for the sear. Turn my heat up a little bit. I'm just going to add these right in. Like I said, this is such a great recipe. It's so versatile. You can make it as spicy as you want. You can use the short rib here. You can also use another cut like a sirloin or something like that. It doesn't always have to be the short rib, but these turn out fantastic. If you're at home, or maybe you know a home cook that wants to make this at home, you can also use the pressure cooker right now. You can pressure cook them for about 30 minutes. They come out fantastic. You want to take them to the point of where they're not shredded beef. They want them to hold together a little bit, so that way they have some bite and some pull to them. And that's just going to give that more of an authentic kind of feel there. All right, most of these are nice and browned up right now in my pan. I'm going to give them a minute there to finish browning. Then we'll go ahead and add some beef stock to that. We'll let those braise. Some things that we do here in the culinary realm in this kitchen is a lot of recipe development. All the recipes for beef with what's for dinner happen in this kitchen. All the recipes get triple tested before they go out to consumers. And we use all these stoves here. We're able to test the recipes at least 3 times for at-home cooks. So we're constantly developing recipes. We're seeing what trends are going on in the food service realm, and we're applying those to cooks as it comes through the consumer space there as well. So these are finished up browning right now, so I'm just going to turn my heat down a little bit. I'm going to add in some beef stock, just enough to cover. Looks good. Splash a little bit, so I'm just going to clean that up. I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to let those braise for about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, depending on how it is. And we'll just kind of watch them as they go. If you guys don't want to hang around for that much time, so I've already prepared some ahead of time. These look fantastic. Actually, as they were done, what I did was I pulled them out, I patted them dry, I gave them a quick sear in the saute pan just to get a little crispiness on there, a little bit of texture. And then I put them in this bowl, and I'm going to toss them in our buffalo sauce. And so all I've done with that is just, of course, it's got to be buffalo sauce. So you got to use Frank's, a little bit of liquid butter, a little Tabasco in there. So I'm just going to add that to the bowl here, toss them up. You can even make these a day ahead of time, and then just give them a quick sear. They hold up really nice. Light these up for you. Fantastic for the game day. If you guys are into tailgating or something like that, you can use them out at the ballpark. They smell delicious. They look great. I always serve them with, of course, some celery and some carrots in there as well. Looks good. And if you guys are blue cheese fans, of course, a little blue cheese crumbles on top, maybe some blue cheese dressing on the side. But there you guys go. There's some buffalo bites, of course, using that chuck short rib that you saw Steve break down. Fantastic, fantastic cut. Super easy recipe, super versatile. You can use other cuts of beef for this as well, and super delicious. And I'm actually going to dig into this because it actually is my dinner time. I saw you guys eating already, so I'm jealous. So thank you very much, guys. If you'd like to find out more about Steve's cutting demo and more about recipes, of course, head on to beefitswhatsfordinner.com. We have stuff on there for food service professionals like yourselves, as well as things for at-home cooks and just recipe ideas and trends that are going on in the food service realm. So thanks, guys. We'll take any kind of questions you guys have now. Steve's right here with me, too.
Great. Thank you both very much. We very much appreciate the full presentation. If you could just give a round of applause. It's very awkward, but Chef Aldercali, the president, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Does anybody have questions for either of our presenters? Anyone online via Zoom, please feel free to just unmute yourself. Anyone in the audience here with questions? All right. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for everything in having this, or in joining us tonight. And then we know we have your contact information, so any follow-up questions, definitely in the chat. I'm seeing great demonstrations. And I know we want to talk about some local farms that we've been working with as well. So maybe you'll think of some questions for our presenters here in the next couple minutes here as we're finishing up. I know we have Chef John Reese in the room, and I'm hoping Chef Nicholas Arnold online here with us, that we want to talk about some local connections. Chef Reese, if you want to get started in talking about Eleven Oaks.
Yeah, very good presentation on this beef. I want to talk a little bit about Eleven Oaks. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Eleven Oaks. Eleven Oaks is a Wagyu farm. They raise Wagyu meat. For those of you not familiar with Wagyu beef is an American Kobe style meat. Wagyu is pretty much is a breed that the meat eats like butter. It's well marbled. It's so tender, and your body, you can almost eat that meat with a fork. You don't even need a knife to eat Wagyu meat. That's how tender it is. It's not cheap, but it's a very good meat. They're located in Louisville. About 3-4 months ago, I took my three grandkids down. We took a ride to the middle of the fields and see all these animals. They got so much land for them to graze on, and so they pretty much eat proper grains. So their flesh is like the American Kobe. The Kobe meat is pretty much a meat produced by they even feed them sake, they massage them, they really take care of this animal. And the Wagyu breed is very, very similar to the Kobe beef. They deliver to most of the restaurants in Harrisburg area. And the Hilton were the first ones that started with 11 Oaks. They were basically producing, maybe killing one cow a month. Now they can get a little bit bigger now. They able to produce and grow and raise some more animals. Pretty much you buy all their ribeyes, whole ribs, roast strip loins, tenderloins, ground beef. If anybody hasn't tried a Wagyu burger made with a Wagyu meat, they're amazing. I mean, they just, the only thing is if you're grilling a Wagyu meat, it flames up a lot because of all the fat on the marble inside, but they're very, very amazing. If anybody needs any information, go to leveloaks.com. His name is Todd. Todd Legal was very, very good to our chapter. I had a fundraising dinner on Friday night for a little team Mr. Saturday, donated the old prime rib eye that I cut into little medallions. He donated all that beef for the Hilton for the beef patties for the PA flavors. So he's very, very good at helping out. He's going on. He also raised some pigs. He has some pigs on. He has some little kids. Right now, when I was there, he only had 3 or 4 pigs. Now he's raising a lot more pigs. And so he's also donating the pork butts for our barbecue pork for the golf party coming up next month. So he's an amazing guy, amazing company, and he's willing to come to your place and show you how to use it and promote his product. Very good guy and good people. They have a little retail store in downtown Louisville right now, so that you can go and purchase stuff. So good job there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chef. Appreciate it.
Are they based on grain?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're not all grass fed.
They're not all grass fed now.
Okay.
Okay. With us on Zoom here, we also have Chef Nicholas Arnold from the Hotel Hershey that wanted to speak. And this is actually how this whole educational presentation started with Elevator talking about Bow Creek Farms. And that's, again, where Chef Daco had mentioned they provided, and we got all the beef products from them specifically for this meal. Chef, take it away.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the demonstrations. Those were awesome. In speaking about Bow Creek, we use, we actually have a great partnership with Rob Hess and family. In fact, Bow Creek Farm is just about 5-minute drive away from the Hotel Hershey, and it actually sits on one of the original parcels of land that Milton Hershey actually purchased. The beef that we use in some of our restaurants is what's called Red Angus. And what's great about using kind of having that local partnership of beef is we're able to custom cut what we'd like. So let's say if you want a beef short rib that still has that big Flintstone, rib bone on there, or if you want to do the old classic, tomahawks, it's a really great partnership because we're able to butcher the meat the way that we would like it. What's even funny is we actually work with the zoo, and they take all of the the organs and everything that can't be consumed, and actually we donate that to the animals. There's actually certain animals that have certain preferences for the liver or the heart or different organs, and it's funny that that's got some great buzz over there. But I think dealing with local beef and being able to have that partnership is just it's always an amazing thing. And I know that when we serve most exclusively at Harvest Restaurant at the hotel, our guests really just go nuts over it. So local beef and beef, they're all such a great thing. The last thing that I'll mention too is that when you're working with local farmers, instead of getting more of the processed meat from you're not exactly sure where it's from, we're able to understand how it's finished, what it's fed, and there's very again, it's only a 5-minute drive from farm to our restaurant. Our steaks and our beef they grade anywhere into top choice into prime, and has just great flavor. So just wanted to highlight Bow Creek and kind of that relationship a bit.
And I know for those of you that don't have a hotel or restaurant to buy from, you can order it online or you can call in. That's exactly what we did. We called in and placed our order and picked it up the next morning. It's available for everyone to purchase from locally.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Autumn, I would want to add that I actually buy it for my home too. The pipe bones that they have and the beef bones, they make great stock. They have great short ribs, anything from, beef jerky, hot beef sticks, hot dogs, burgers. They have everything there. And they have a little shed right outside their farm, and very approachable, very nice family.
Anyone have questions for either Chef Research, Chef Research? Regards to either of those ones?
If I can add just on resource, we actually have a local beef finder to enter a zip code and very quickly and easily find any farm. So I know that all of you are obviously local to this area where 11 ounce can bone free food beef, but if you find yourself visiting or working in a different location, if you visit pabeef.org, we have the Northeast Beef Directory, and you can very quickly and easily find any local beef resources to wherever you might find yourself.
And Courtney, thank you so much again for joining us. And I know, did we introduce Nicole?
I don't think we did, and she was going to be in and out.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she's going to be able to hop on physically, but many of you mentioned that you remember Nicole or remember working with Nicole. She is still with us. She is now our executive director. So I was fortunate to be able to slide into her role after she moved up. So we're very proud of Nicole she's been with the Beef Council. I think it's been 11 years, 13 years, something like that. So many of you I know mentioned that you worked with her. Think very highly of Nicole as well.
So I certainly can't let you go without talking about your online resources. Some of us have been on Zoom and on the internet for the last, little couple months. So the Beef Council website, I have found so many valuable resources. She has a couple handouts, a couple recipes, spoons. They don't click. I don't know what I'm doing, but there's spoons over there. Yeah. And so she brought a whole variety of what can we access online to educate ourselves more?
You can access just about anything online. We have actually a food service specific portal. So everything from cuts and how to access them, literally how to deconstruct the chuck roll, all the way up to photography. So if you find yourself trying to build a menu and you need plated photography, and I know for smaller restaurants, sometimes that can be a challenge. All of those things are free and accessible to anyone. So again, I would just encourage you, please reach out. Like Chef Patty said, we just have a plethora of online resources that are very, very valuable for you all. And as Chef Alex and Steve mentioned, the Beef What's for Dinner website has a tremendous amount of recipes on there, all searchable by cut, and then by season, by cooking type, all of those types of things as well.
Awesome. Does anybody have questions for Courtney, for Nicole, or other presenters? Anyone else?
Yeah, the only question I have especially for the students there, can anyone know some of the grades of beef that they were talking about, the choice, the first on the flying? I mean, that's something that sometimes people don't realize. I mean, like I was talking to Todd the other day about his wagyu meat. Wagyu meat is well marbled. What do you make a fry? You got a fry that's way up the top. It's something that you want to talk about,
Sure. Yeah. So for the students, if you're not familiar with how beef is sold and how it's graded, when beef goes through a USDA packing facility, which beef that is consumed in restaurant or food service, all would be going through that process. It is stamped and graded by a USDA employee. So they are deciding where that beef would fall on a chart. Essentially, is the simplest way to put it for you. And that is typically how then beef is merchandised via, where it would fall on that chart. So when you shared about Wagyu is famous for having a tremendous amount of marbling. Marbling is one portion of how beef would be graded. Quality grade and yield would be the other side of that scale. So it has to be well marbled, but it also has to have the appropriate amount of muscle to fat in order to grade prime. So prime would be the best of the best, and then choice would be underneath that. There are grading resources on the website as well. So if you're curious or if you just want to kind of see what the difference is, I would encourage you to visit the website. There are some videos on how that process happens, and there are some on just pictures to be able to kind of visually see what the differences would be in cuts.
It was hard to hear. Did you say that you have recipes for your website?
We do. We have a ton of recipe options. So if you just visit pabeef.org, you actually can search multiple ways, which I find very helpful, and honestly, a lot of our consumers do as well. For example, if you find yourself in a meat case with a unique cut on sale. You can actually search our website by cut so that you would know how to prepare that. So if you weren't familiar with the Denver cut or the Sierra cut, didn't know how to prepare that, you can search via that. Or if you just are like, I want to know what is the very best hamburger recipe that's ever been created, you can find that there too.
So she did bring recipes.
I did bring a few. Yeah. Yeah. And we also have a resource up here for those of you that are in the restaurant business, titled Beef Beans Business. And as Steve mentioned several times throughout his presentation, kind of how to merchandise cuts that maybe are underutilized or can be reimagined, if you will.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
In our recap, I certainly would like to pass off your information for a contact. If there is any other questions, that would be awesome.
Yes, yes.
All right.
We love it. Our favorite dishes. The hamburger is number one. I mean, without a doubt, ground beef is number one beef sales by a long shot. It's the most versatile, and you'll see one of the recipes I brought along is the ground beef primavera. Pretty much anybody can do anything with a ground beef.
So I do have a question for you. It's a little tough. As a new student coming in and I just started buying beef, it's really hard to find a lot of beef right now. And the prices fluctuate a lot. So what is the cause for why there's not an ample supply readily available for us?
Yeah, so there are some challenges, much like a lot of other industries right now. The way the beef life cycle works, and again, I would direct you to our website because we have a full from start to finish of how the beef life cycle works if you're not familiar with it. But a lot of cattle are not finished on the East Coast. Most cattle would be headed west to where corn and soybeans are grown because that's what cattle eat in the late stages of their life. And the challenge that we ran into mid-COVID and now through the last 18 months is just like many other industries, labor shortages have been tough. It is not necessarily a matter of there not being cattle to process. It, in most cases, is a matter of there not being employees in a plant to process them. That's the big part of it. There is some challenges on the West Coast with drought and fire. We are in a low cattle market, low cattle cycle, just because there's not grass for cattle to be eating in those states. But by and large, labor shortages are the biggest challenge for reasons you can't find beef here on the East Coast.
Where do you see the trend going in the next year or two? What do we have to look forward to? Is it going to become more available?
It should regulate itself. Yes, we should be getting back up and running as things start to turn around. We hope that things stabilize at that. But we're very fortunate in Pennsylvania specifically. We have a tremendous amount of producers who are able to sell direct to retail. That is not the case in a lot of states. That's just not how things work. But here we have a lot of small local farms that want to sell direct to you. So if you find yourself with the opportunity to buy in that way, I would encourage that. Absolutely.
There's a question back there. Go ahead.
So, it's a beef when the cow's about to die. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions that we have? Go ahead.
Well, for us,
Do you mind repeating the question? I'm sorry. What was your question again?
Slaughtering process.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like milk. We can't take it without.
All cows need to die on the first.
Correct.
Well, like,
what age are you slaughtering? Oh, I'm sorry. What age? Generally 18 to 24 months old. What? I'm sorry. No, I mean, a cow lifespan is generally 5 to 8 years. So it's not like a human. They wouldn't generally be living a long period of time.
you guys are in a really good spot because I know the chefs in back have a lot of education to share with you. There's to educate you on beef, I think it's at least a several hour talking 50 miles an hour conversation, which I would love to have too. But certainly there's a whole lot to dive into. And I know that the website, again, is a great resource. The videos I have shared in my classes as well. Very humane, just explaining the process too. So
Right.
certainly there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah, certainly would encourage you to watch. There are tons of resources to explain the full life cycle.
They live a good life.
Yeah.
Each year, no.
It's not comparable to
Yeah.
it's like,
All right. Thank you so much, Courtney. Again, I'll pass off that information. I'm excited that you're going to join us and hear the rest of our meeting as well. So thank you again. I thought that was a great presentation for the Beef and Veal Council. I do also want to, I always say the Beef and Veal Council, I'm sorry. Pennsylvania Beef Council. It isn't. You do go?
we do.
Pennsylvania Beef or, okay,
We
so
are
I'll
the
just stick with
Pennsylvania
beef.
Beef Council,
Yeah.
but veal is a beef animal.
Yes.
So we do market veal as well.
Uh-huh.
And Pennsylvania is one of the very few states that has veal production at all. Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin really are the three remaining veal producing states.
Great. And I know Pennsylvania Farm Show, Culinary Connection Stage, we have a beef and veal day. That's why I have the veal rolling off the tongue there too. So that's Wednesday. And my kids actually cooked with Chef Barry Crumler against Kurt Weaver this year, and his kids making the best spider. Last year, 2 years ago, Chef Reese and his grandkids went up against mine. Any event, it's a great day at the farm show.
Yeah, it's lots of fun.
But what I was starting off was they generously provided the funding to be able to purchase all the beef today. So I do want to thank you for that as well. I very much. All right, so if there is nothing, I mean, I'm 6 minutes early. I feel like, yes.
I'd like to encourage everybody to take a last helping, grab a couple of these desserts, because at this point, our students are going to take this back and share it up on themselves. So please take what you would like.
And if we could, I just want to make sure all the students are here because I would like to present something to you before we officially get started. So if Chef Jacko, if you don't mind coming up. So again, this is our first official meeting out in public. So we wanted to thank you in presenting.
Thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you. You got it.
All right. Would we be here without the students, right? Are the students not the reason we are always here?
Oh,
So this is a nice thank you to Chris Ditlow in the back here for presenting these.
cool. Thank you. I'm hanging up in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Okay, so now you can look at your leftover or your section. I just wanted to make sure we can thank everyone. Okay, so I have 5 minutes early. Are we opposed to getting started with the business part of the meeting?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay, I heard take a 5-minute break, 7:30.
Yeah.
7:30. We'll be back.
Set the motion.
Don't be mad. You don't mind, do you?
I do not, no.
Autumn, can you hear me?
I can.
Did you get my text that I sent you from Charlie?
I did.
Okay, I just want to make sure you had that for new business. It's much easier for you to read that than I to read it, okay?
It's easier for me if you read it, but I can.
Well, the problem is I'm on my phone, so I have to flip, whichever you'd like. I'll do it. I love you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
I'm seeing 7:30. All right, applicant two, we get started, please, if we could. Okay, I'm gonna say it one more time. If we can get started, please. If everybody can have a seat, that's going to join the meeting. All right, I would like to entertain a motion, please, to get our meeting officially started. If you are on Zoom, you will have to unmute yourself.
I make a motion to start the meeting.
Tracy, thank you. Second by Chef Reed, thank you. We'll go ahead and get started. We have Chef Long. Chef, if you could move it a little bit more. Still not. Still keep going. Oh, I see it. I see it. Can you all see the flag right there? Okay. Thank you, Chef.
Everybody?
And allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Right.
Thank you all. All right, do we have Chef Taco here by chance, or is she in the back? All right, I have asked Chef Taco to read the culinary code for us, being our host here this evening. I know she's going to be coming out here in just a minute. Do we have Chef Taco? Thank you. All right, while she is coming out, oh, there she is. next item on our agenda is going to be our newsletter, if anybody needs to review. Chef Taco, if you don't mind reading the culinary code. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chef.
Yep. As a proud member of the American Culinary Federation, I pledge to share my professional knowledge and skill with all culinarians. I will place honor, fairness, cooperation, and consideration first when dealing with my colleagues. I will keep all comments professional and respectful when dealing with my colleagues. I will protect all members from the use of unfair means, unnecessary risks, and unethical behavior when used against them for another person's gain. I will support the success, growth, and future of my colleagues and this great federation.
Thank you, Chef. All right. Just again, I feel like that's extremely important for us to continue, and my students will even stop me in class and say, Chef, you haven't read the culinary code yet. So thank you very much, Chef, for including that. Speaking of, it's on the second and last page here of our newsletter. Does anybody have any comments, questions, feedback, changes, anything for our newsletter? Anyone know what the ingredient of the month was? I'm so glad Chef Tom does. Anyone else? So close. So it's chickpeas, you're right, chickpeas. And Chef Tom put a great recipe in there that might look familiar. And he uses the chickpea flour. So make sure you check it out. So it does not sound like anybody has any questions, comments. Can I then?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Chef Heffley. Second? Second. Tracy, thank you. All those in favor of approving the August 2021 minutes as stated in our meeting class, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, likewise? All right, that motion will carry then. Thank you. Next up is Chef Harris with our treasurer's report.
Good evening, everybody, and my friends online. Hello.
Hi, Sheriff.
Our checking account for this month. I have had a little bit of movement after our last meeting. If you recall, we had the $2,300 that we got from the Goodling dinner that Chef Reese, Skype, and Roebuck had done. After that, we did a little reimbursement to Chef Reese for $80.47, to Charlie Guype for $81.75 for some of the ingredients that they had gotten for that. $1,000 of that was then moved into the scholarship account. We got a dividend of 22 cents from the bank and a rebate from ACF for $28.50. That leaves our checking account at $4,479.64. Our scholarship account, as I had mentioned, I moved $1,000 over that was requested to go into the scholarship account from that dinner. And we also got $36 from our last meeting. We did a 50-50 raffle. That puts our scholarship account at a $1,936.06. Our savings account got a bank dividend this month of 23 cents, leaving us at $5,354.73. For all three accounts together, we have a total of $11,770.43. Any questions?
I move that we approve the minutes of the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Chef Heffley. Do we have a second? Sorry. Thank you, Chef Reese. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as stated by Chef Harris, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise?
One question, Autumn. Any word on any dividends or payment from PA Flavors?
Okay, so first the motion passed and the motion carries for that. And Chef, yes, and I will report that in just a minute with the update on PA Flavors.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and one thing I did have for you, Chef, was that you got the receipts from the national convention. You did. Okay. So that will be coming out from the next month. We go to Florida. So I just wanted to make sure that that was still in the works there too, which I think was only a couple $100, but right. Just to add that as well. All right. So moving forward, the president's message is our next section here. I do want to start with membership in the community, kind of our old business introduction here. Hopefully everyone saw the link that I sent last night with Chef Tom Long and Steve Gump in their Live from the Chef's Apprentice, their twist on tacos, which I thought was excellent yesterday, or excellent on Friday. I believe Michael Harris and I were the only two on, so that's why I wanted to share and make sure the only two from our chapter. Forgive me, there was lots of people on. Made it to prime time. That was your Friday at 1. There's the new time. It's very exciting. So I hope all of you can join us. But the newsletter had the links, so we sent out the links so that anyone can watch that then. So congratulations. Thanks for continuously educating us there and entertaining as well. All right, Pea Flavor. I did skip right over that. Sorry. So Pea Flavor was our biggest event here that we've done. Our large fundraiser, August 21st. It was phenomenal. Pictures went out. There was a lot of marketing and media for that. I really thought that was a phenomenal event, and I think we can just keep touching on that, pulling from it. Tom said the best thing to me. He said the smiles on everyone's face. That was really what it was about, that everyone's really enjoying working together. I think there was over 30 of us from our chapter engulfed in the entire day. I mean, it was definitely, there's a lot of labor, so thank you all for everyone that participated. I did ask for an update from Heidi. I joined the PRLA meeting earlier this afternoon as well, and I would like to start with that. The entire PRLA chapter overly emphasized that this event has been done for now 10 years. Always been an excellent event, and they really have never had any complaints. It's always been great. So they're building up for something, but this year they said went over the top. They said the food. The chefs, they said it was just as much about the food than it was the brewery, which is what they wanted to see, and they just could not think it's enough. So I know John shaking his head, you were right there and heard it. Nothing but positive things and just total appreciation for us, for everything that we've done, and really just how I took it to a different level this year, our engagement. And the same thing with the Delta. They just, I think we spent a long time not being engaged by force. And now we're to the point where let's look at everything fresh and new, and not necessarily just do what we've done before, but maybe look at it with new eyes. And they really, really appreciated it. The financial part of it, we will not hear for another month or two. However, the comment she made today at the meeting at 4 o'clock was that she was hoping we make a little bit of a profit. So that does not tell me that we're going to make a large profit. And I think we went into this event knowing that we wanted to show up, we wanted to reintroduce ourselves, we wanted to be involved in this, but it could be for a very minimal contribution to our chapter. However, I think we all showed up, had a great time, that I would not expect more than $1,000, I'll be honest, just from the way she was kind of giving us that. There was over 650 tickets sold. There was a lot of different, I think it was 48 different breweries, vendors, restaurants. So an extremely successful event. Again, they did not think it's enough. They really, really appreciated our partnership, and I'm looking forward to more for next year. Although there's no talk of next year yet, and if it was to be next year, it would be in the fall, like an October date, but no talks just yet about that. So, Brian, hopefully that answers your question. I did get the, try to get a little bit of an update, but no financial stuff yet.
That's great. Thanks, Autumn.
Thank you. And again, thank you all. Everyone really chipped in. We had a couple kitchens going. Renee and Donald were prepping over at our chapter kitchen. We had some prep going on at HAP, Lebanon County Career and Technology Center. Thank you, Brian and Bob, and anyone that helped you in making those soups. It really just came together extremely well. There is always things we can do better. However, I would like to look at how great it was and know that I have plenty of notes, and I will bring up all of those factors at the appropriate time. There are always things we can do better, but I really think we did a phenomenal job, and it was the teamwork aspect, and really just the impression I think we gave the community of our chapter. So thank you all again. I very much appreciate it. All right, the next thing, marketing efforts. I know Renee's not here, so I wanted to share for her just in the idea that, especially with school starting, I just joined the Instagram thing. So I've been posting pictures nonstop, what our students are doing. And I think it's everyone's getting more into it. There's so many alumni. I remember that day. That was so exciting. So what Renee is doing is anything from the school, she's been posting it on her page as well. So please feel free to share anything directly with her, or again for posting it in the chat. So those were kind of the old business items, things that we have done. know, Brian, I know you have new business, but does anybody else have old business? Things that have gone on since our last meeting to highlight yourself in our chapter.
Yeah, one thing that we did this weekend, I was up in Perry County at the LEAP project.
Ah.
And I know it's not, it's not an ACF sponsored event, but I was there, since I'm in ACF. We have over 200 people in that Saver program that we've been doing for the last 5 years. It's pretty much a series of stations that we do up in the farm, and some wine, some food, and that's their biggest fundraiser of the year. I'm not sure how much money they made, but it was a good turnout, beautiful weather up there. Maybe next year we'll get the ACF a little more involved in.
Already planted a seed
But
on the phone yesterday.
it was well received, was fun, a long day, but it was a lot of fun.
And it looked awesome. I mean, I saw some pictures, and there's a lot of different chefs involved. And I talked with a couple of those chefs here just yesterday, and said next year I'd like to rebuild our partnership, because the LEAP project and the ACF were very close at some point in time, and we did help with these dinners. So I would like to be a part again. So that is something I'm looking forward to next year, and making that connection again. But thank you, Chef. Anyone else? Any other old business, exciting things anyone's been doing? Start teaching in a classroom again? Anyone? Okay, so let's move on to national updates. I really don't have very many because everything is coming. The Northeast Regional Conference Call, which I've already added onto the agenda to talk about our golf outing, talk about PA flavor, and our upcoming certification trainer. That's also on the agenda. That is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and everyone is invited to that call. We had the PRLA meeting that happened today for the Central Pennsylvania chapter. That happened at 4. And again, it was pretty much updates. There was going to join us with the Serve Safe Serve Safe program going into restaurants, and then just again updating on golf outing and some other information that Tom will talk about.
But I'll go back to that. That was I called the other house, so I told Bianca that's a nice program. That application, Serve Safe checklist is.
So can you talk about it a little more? I was kind of like 4 people.
No, this is an application that the Restaurant Association and a company coming up. It's an application that you can actually put in your iPhone, in your phone. You can give it to all the employees, and it's an automatic checklist. A checklist for safety, for sanitation, got things. If you see something broken, you can take a picture, and it goes into this program, into this data, and you can have up to 10 applications per restaurant. And for the first 6 months, it's for free. After the 6 months, if you're a PRLA member, it's only half price is $40 a month for the application. But this thing pretty much does everything. I mean, yeah, it sends you a reminder if you get to do your checklist. There's a reminder at 4 o'clock for the PMC check, do a checklist, to go through this. Either established checklist already program, or you can program your own checklist. Yeah, I thought it was very, 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 very good system that PRLA is putting together. Really, very, very good thing to do. So anybody can afford it. If anybody can afford it, at least give it a shot for 6 months. Try it out.
And I'll have planning for that link.
Yeah.
To more information if anyone.
Okay. That was good.
I was trying to listen. Okay, so anything else for the PRLA meeting, John, that you thought? We got to talk about the golf outing.
No, I thought, short meeting, but spend a lot of time talking about the political things that's going on with mandates and all that good stuff, and and about the employee things, try hard fighting employees with this. But since all the outlook of the government is over right now, hopefully they will see a big trend in people going back to work. So that's a big trend that they're going back to right now. So
that was another thing. PRLA, their heart fund. How many? Did they say over 1,400? Right?
Yeah.
1,400 different restaurants, establishments, individuals who have been helped from the PRLA through this heart fund, and they feel like now that they want to kind of shift gears and open it, make it more broad, to where if someone, if there's a fire in someone's kitchen and they shut down for a week or so, to individualize it and continue to help others. But 1,400 individual, just helping again. I think that's awesome. So that was a good meeting. Thank you, Chef, for backing me up on that. Also, we have, let's see. So next Monday is a chapter president's meeting. It's kind of section 2 of the different chapters, the president presidents and leadership getting together, all about different PowerPoints and posters and exciting stuff. But all of the, again, different presidents getting together on a call Monday night at 5:30 for us to gather and share best practices and just show each other support again. So that's coming up. And then I wanted to note October 10th, there is a Columbus Classic. They are doing SK and SK competitions as well as the cold. I realize it is very short time frame away. My purpose is to show you their back, and they're starting to get planned more and more and more. And I think we have a really great relationship with our local chapters around us. That I think the Baltimore, the Columbus, the Cleveland, some of these different areas when they're holding some of these big classics that maybe there's an opportunity to partner with down the road as well. So that's coming up October 10th, just to let everyone know. And then I'm going to move on to our new business, because again, I don't really have many updates on the national level. They're all coming here in the next week or so. So new business items.
Wait 1 second, Autumn. Rashida is having internet issues. She was wondering if you could mention anything about the challenge.
Yes, thank you.
Because she's having technical problems.
I appreciate that, Bouncy. Brian, thank you. And yes, I
You're
will
welcome.
mention it down the road there when it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so new business. I'm going to jump to that, and then anyone else that has new business items, I'd like to hear that as well from you. So at the last meeting, I talked about in person that there is this sponsorship partnership initiative that the board would like to look into. I mentioned at the national convention that the ACF Atlanta chapter as well as Central Florida, they have numerous sponsors, partners that they are receiving annual funds from, enough that they're able to support their organization, their chapter, as well as have hired paid employees helping to support their chapter. So not that we are looking to jump and just get free money and not do events and not do this, but we want to explore this possibility. And before we can do anything, we thought our first step is let's see what our chapter's worth is. Let's see how many chefs are in our chapters, how many certifications, what's our buying power, what's our marketing power. So we have divvied up amongst the board members to all find different data, come back, and then see and then start exploring what different packages we might offer. So that's really the stage we're at. And I think our next board meeting in October, I think maybe we'll have a little bit more direction, but we're looking for next year packages. Something to start maybe January, hopefully January. But we know that time is ticking away here. So that is something that we're starting to explore, but really just kind of initial ground steps for. There is a college and career fair. Thank you, Brian, for passing that on. I did send that out in an email, as well as I have a couple of sheets here. I'm excited to say I'm going to be there as well. I just got that cleared for HAP and the culinary baking programs to be there. And I know there's a couple other schools, a couple other restaurants, but they are looking for chefs to share, and educate students on what our careers are like. And I think each and every one of us have a totally different career. That would be great if anyone could participate. The date is October 26th. There is a $50 fee for the food to help pay for the Lebanon and Expo Center. And then the next two items are not mine, so I'm going to first jump to Brian Peffley that has two new items for Charlie Kite. And then I'm hoping Bob is not, oh, yes, Bob. Then I'm hoping to go to you on Train the Trainer. And then Nicholas, I'm hoping to go to you about October 18th. All right, Brian?
Okay, I'm here. Let me just flip over to Charlie's text. The two things that he wanted to talk about, he is at a meeting right now. The first one is Smoke in the Park, which is a Kansas City barbecue society sanctioned event in Lemoyne. Chef Roebuck, Chef Reese, and Chef James Gardner and Chef Charlie Geip are making omelets at 6 till 8 for the I'm Going to Kill Nicholas Arnold. For all competitors for the competition, ACF Harrisburg started the event along with the West Shore Bureau Fire and the Borough Fathers of Lemoyne and Wormleysburg, and which also included Mayor Brother Ed Byram. The second event that's going on is 10 students from Cumberland Perry Votech, along with Chef Miller, will be preparing 20 gallons of two kinds of soup for sale at the Frankenberger Tavern, which is in Mechanicsburg. This is part of the 125th anniversary celebration of the tavern. put on by the Mechanicsburg Museum. The students will prepare the soup at the school Thursday and Friday, and then they will serve at the tavern, which is on Main Street, Mechanicsburg, this Saturday between 10 a.m. and 2. Chef Guy will be doing a live hearth cooking in the tavern, along with 5 of the students in the AM and then 5 students in the PM. They will learn how to tend the fire and cook in a cast iron. The menu will be one of Thomas Jefferson's favorite soup, which was a beef soup. They will be served at all major formal dinners that were at Monticello. So that's what Charlie wanted to pass on to everybody so that you knew what was going on this coming weekend. So thank you very much. I stole that from John Reese.
I noticed, so thank you. Speaking of John Reese, I know I said I was coming late to you about this in a moment, but John, what do you have going on this weekend with the students from here?
Actually, we have this coming Thursday at the food bank. We're doing a top-based dinner. That's their biggest fundraiser there. We used to do the Taste of South Central PA at Harrisburg for many years. And then when they stopped there, we decided to do this one-day dinner. And there's 3 different chefs, or 3 different organizations. Myself and the chef from Toyota now, and then Bianco, we're doing one course. Quigley is doing one course, and then Sophia and her daughter are doing the other course. And the students and Claire and the chef from there are serving, and they're assisting putting this dinner together. That's coming up this Thursday. We're going to do outside in the tent, and they expect about 225 people. So basically, the way the thing is, they give you $750, like giant gift cards, and each chef is $200. We have to buy all the food with $750. And my goal was to spend $750 on short ribs, which I couldn't do, but I didn't want the $750. So we have to change the menu a little bit for that. But it's going to be a funny event, and these kids are amazing. 2 years ago, they're amazing.
Is it something we can watch live? Or
I don't think it's live. I don't think it's live.
So you're going to take a ton of pictures?
I will take time. And these kids are amazing. What a job they do. They do serving it and plating up and plating up. We're going to have 4 stations, plating up 4 stations, so we can serve them quick. That's fine.
Very cool. Thank you. Bob, are you with us that you can talk about Train the Trainer?
Yes, I can do that. Well, we finally were able to get a Train the Trainer going and got this all approved last week. Michael and Brian and I worked on that and talked with the ACF. And we have Chef David Voles, who's going to come on November the 5th and is going to start the training down at the CTC for anybody that is looking to recertify as an evaluator, and we're looking for people to come in and start their evaluation apprenticeship. So that's going to happen on November 5th, starting at 5 o'clock down at the CTC, probably go till 9, somewhere in there. That's what he told me. He said it wouldn't be any longer than that. And then turn around on Saturday morning, then on the 6th, and we already put in now, I think the ACF is processing it right now. We will have a practical exam then on the 6th at the CTC for anybody that's looking to get their certification. So this way, anybody that's there on Friday night can turn around and be an apprentice, and go through the whole process there, because we'll have actually 2 leads there. We have David and Michael both. They both can take on some apprentices as well. And I think they can each of them can have 4 apprentices. So, anybody that's looking to, put that under their belt, we do need more evaluators. I'm going to be doing my evaluation, which will give me mine for the year. And since Brian did his last time, so Brian's going to be the admin on this one. And so we're looking to a good time. The chef's excited to come up and spend the weekend with us. He was glad that we kind of set it up that he wouldn't have to come back up again, make a double trip. Sometimes they only do the training. They don't have a test behind it like we're doing. So, but right now everything's in the works, and the ACF, I just corrected papers with Kiwi on Friday, and we should be good to go.
Thank you, Chef. Does anyone have any questions about the Train the Trainer? All right. And as you have more information, certainly we'll send that out then. Thank you, Chef. All right. Do we still have Chef Arnold Nicholas with us? I'd like to talk briefly before we open up for any other new business about our next meeting, which would be October 18th. Thank you, Sean.
Yes, hi everyone. We're really excited to host the next chapter meeting on October 18th at the Hotel Hershey. It'll be from our normal meeting time from 7 to 9, but we'll also have a reception from 6 to 7. And what it's going to do, it's actually going to feature the great ingredients that we'll be doing our education seminar on from Foley Fish. So we'll actually have Laura Foley from Foley Fish coming down from Boston, and she's going to be doing a great demonstration about what sustainability means in seafood, why great seafood matters, and I've known her since 1998, 1999, and worked with the company since then. So we really feel it's going to be a great time. I believe the last time the hotel had an ACF meeting was back in 2018. So we're certainly hoping everybody can join.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. All right, does anyone else have any other new business to bring forth for the chapter? Any new business? Okay. So we're going to move on to Chef Reese. If you could update us on our golf outing. If you don't mind, unless you can be loud, if you want to come up here so everyone can hear, especially the recording of who's taking the minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pretty much golf outing. Let's start off with the food items. So I was a little stressed out for the last couple of weeks about getting somebody to donate all the food. But as of this morning, all the foods are accounted for, except a few small odds and ends. But pretty much everything is assigned for. What I did today, I took a look at the ingredients and decided where they're going to be delivered to. If I have to pick some stuff up. So that was my goal today. I pretty much got a spreadsheet with all the organization. We changed the menu a little bit from the last time. Last time we were going to take the steaks out of the menu for dinner, and we're going to carve a pork loin. We decided to go back to the pork barbecue for lunchtime with pork butts or shoulders. And I got a nice sponsorship money from Members First. They gave me $3,500 as a sponsorship. So we're going to take some of that money and use it to buy some strip loins. Instead of cutting steaks, we're going to roast some strip loins and use that as a carving station. So we're going to have a beef dish for dinner, not the steaks, but the strip loin, which is going to be as good as the strip steaks. Probably it would be better. It'll be a lot easier to grill 400 steaks. The numbers at our meeting this morning, they had less than 200 tickets sold. So we're a little shy of where we were 2 years ago before COVID. So if anybody has anybody that wants to play golf, make sure you go to the PRLA or tell your friends to go into the PRLA and log in for that. So my next step with the food dishes, I'm going to set up with the chefs that are volunteering, Tom, Renee, Donald, I forget what's the committee now. Raya, Chef Miller, and we're going to use all the students from Cattlemen Perry Go Tech. So I'm going to assign some of the chefs with the students for some of the dishes. I'll put together the recipes and all that good stuff. I'll have done sometime early next week so I can send that out. As I get closer to the time, see how many people we expect. I might have to adjust the quantities of the food. But as right now, she's hoping to do maybe 250 people this year, which is a lot less than we did before.
So, John, we have tons of help the day up, but we're looking to prep things, right? Over the weekend?
Over the weekend,
I'm going to students available. So that's maybe where we can help.
Yeah, I'm putting all that together. See, depends how many people show up. Maybe there's not that many things we can do. We don't need to do them that early. Maybe we can do them on Monday morning or even Sunday. All depends how many people we got, how many tickets they sell. Instead of buying the black bean burgers, I'm gonna have the Cattlemen Perry Go Tech kits prepared to the burgers already, given the recipe and all that good stuff. And so that's gonna be gonna play by ear depending how many tickets they sell. So but I know you're gonna smoke the pork loin. I know that already.
I got on my side. I'll take care of my side.
But if I need any help from anybody, I will let you know. If we cannot produce it, I'll communicate with Brian Pfeffley, see if maybe they can do something down there. Cattlemen Perry Go Tech. I don't live too far from there. I can go in there one day with the students and prepare some more stuff, even if it's marinating the
But
chicken
if some
breast.
of us want to play in the kitchen because we really love cooking,
Okay.
we could maybe do a prep session on Sunday, right?
Yeah, we could do a breakfast on Sunday.
I don't know. So just a thought, but you let us
No,
know.
you want to, Sunday's church day, I really don't want to do it, Sunday church thing. But we
That's
got.
good. There's 7 days a week for me.
The
So
menu is
whatever
not,
you're
the
ready.
menu is a lot of items in the menu, but it's not that difficult to do. We have about 35 students from the Cattlemen was that coming. Right now, they are supposed to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, we should be okay. If worst comes to worst, we'll do everything on Monday morning, but we're gonna prep some stuff ahead of time. But it's looking pretty good. I was a little stressed out about getting the food donated, but now with the big sponsorship, we'll be okay with the menu. So that's it. Anybody, any questions? Any questions from anybody up there?
I see Barb's ready. With that, I'm mute.
Hey, Barb, are you ready to set up the buffet? Barb?
What?
He's gonna be running the buffet without you. You're gonna fly in?
All right, I got a flight ready to come out.
All right, Chef, thank you.
Thank
Any questions on the golf outing? Because it is our next meeting, is that night.
Right.
So then the idea is that those students will also come over to the hotel. And we need a small crew to make sure that we clean up and we get that. So look for the email of where we need to come in and help. All right, thank you, Chef. All right, we're gonna go ahead, move on then. The next thing on the agenda was Rashida, which I don't believe Rashida's back with us. Okay, so what Brian had mentioned, we talked as a board, and our chalk competition was something that we thought was great. It seemed to be popular, very entertaining while we were on Zoom. And then as we started meeting in person, it started to become a little more difficult. But we wanted to see, and we looked at what's something we can do with it. And Rashida came up with the idea, what if we have a holiday kind of themed Zoom? So maybe shoot for November and ask for volunteers and start recruiting volunteers that can bring together kind of a mystery basket plate of, their tradition. And I know there's a lot more thought she has going into it than my preparation of 5 seconds here, but the idea of how to bring together and maybe share your own family traditions through that chalk competition as well. So we are not doing it in October. We're looking for November. And I'm looking for her certainly to provide some more feedback, but looking for volunteers. Okay? So please keep that in mind. So we'll bring it back for our November meeting. All right. The last 3 things do not include my talking. So Chef Nicholas, still right there. So Nicholas Arnold is our chair of our awards committee. I'd like him to go over an overview, please, and then we'll follow up with chair on the scholarship committee and then with our competition committee. Chef.
Hi again, everyone. Last Saturday, a few of us were able to meet, just kind of an initial meeting for the awards committee to at least start the process in thinking about the nominations that we would like to be able to make for the ACF Harrisburg chapter for the 2021 year. And in that meeting, we have another course meeting set up and where our committee is starting to think about who they might want to either for chef of the year, pastry chef of the year, student of the year, all of these great different categories. And what we're going to be doing is getting those all drawn up, and we're going to be presenting them at the October meeting at the hotel, for which point we'll open up the floor and consider any other nominations that anybody might also have. So if you're at that meeting, feel free, if you do have a nomination, to bring that and thought out so you can articulate it to the group. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you, Chef. If I could just to reiterate strongly, forcefully, firmly, October's proceedings, according to our bylaws, is that we will have our awards committee chair read the awards committee nominations, okay, the nominees for the awards that we have given out each year. They are listed in our bylaws, and there are specific descriptions. It also lists that you may not get the award 2 years in a row. It cannot be awarded to someone that got it last year. It also says in there that for the chef of the year, you must work in a food and beverage operation or working in, the educator must be a current active educator. So there are specific things in there that I have asked the committee specifically to look at and make sure there is someone qualified for it. If we do not have someone qualified for it, then I don't think we should give out an award to someone that's not qualified unless we feel they should get it, and we're going to do an amendment. But for now, I want to make sure that we're looking at those bylaws and following that. And I also have a request. I don't want anyone to be nominated if there's not a reason, a written reason, as to why they deserve an award. And the reason I'm asking for that, requesting that, is that this year we celebrated all of our award winners. But I wrote why every single person got nominated and got that award, and I was not on the committee. I even wrote it about myself. So I really want to have a written reason as to why someone is nominated. And I have someone for each and every one of those categories and a good valid reason. So I would like that to be part of the presentation. So in summary, my main point, is that October's meeting, once you hear those nominees, then the floor opens up for anyone else that would like to nominate someone. What you need to do is make sure they are eligible. And when you're nominating them, you need to hand in why you're nominating them. And they also need to accept it according to our bylaws. I feel we can reach out to them for them to accept the nomination of an award. But I just want everyone to be prepared, because when the meeting closes, there will be no more nominations at that point according to our bylaws. Questions on that? I don't know. Okay. Thank you, Chef. All right, so we'll move on with Chef Sheridan on our scholarship committee. It's very awkward, I know.
Well, the scholarship, as we all know, is a really great thing, and I think that started this year, and I really appreciate everybody that pitched in their own money, how we got it started off. And it's really starting to gain a lot of momentum with realizing the importance of having those donations go in for that reason. Our scholarship committee had met, and I'd first like to read what our objective and what our initiative is that we got into as to what we decided that we wanted to do with the money that we're starting to gain and how to properly distribute that to the students. So our objective would be, first, define an outline for the student eligibility for chapter student scholarship fund, using the advisement from the board and the finance committee to determine the amounts of the funds available for disbursement each year. Decide on a selection process for scholarship eligibility focused on the Culinarians Code, ACF participation, community service, and professional goals. Plan an application process, the amount of funds, and the yearly timing of the disbursement, and then review the candidates and announce the recipients. Overall, our initiative being that we would like to announce a scholarship process for applications in the early spring of 2022 for our first disbursement coming out in July of 2022. Overall, looking to then continue to grow our scholarship awareness and to grow those funds and to be able to provide more and more opportunities for our students as we grow in the future. We took some time then and went through what we would do to get to those goals and objectives. So for eligibility for our scholarship, we are looking at it would be high school seniors who are graduating and have been accepted into a hospitality management or culinary pastry program at an accredited post-secondary institution. Or it could be any student that is currently enrolled in an accredited hospitality or culinary pastry arts program. We are asking if they are an ACF member and that they have participated into ACF events within the last 12 months of the application. This could include being involved in the monthly meetings. Part of the application process would be a letter of recommendation submitted with the application, and we will then have a complete online questionnaire that will be set up with essay questions that have been put together by the committee. Details of the scholarship, as I had started to mention, would be that the application process posted would start March 1st, with applications being due then to us by May 1st. Announcing who our decisions for the funds would be then on June 15th, and then awarding it to them by July 1st, and that would be awarded directly to their school account. We're going to start out with looking at that as a $500 scholarship, and we don't know yet the number that would be. It would be based on what our yearly finances are to be able to allot that. Ideally, that we'll never allow our scholarship fund to go below a certain amount, so that we can stay afloat and hopefully keep this as a growing thing in the future.
1,000, right?
Yes. So yes, we
You couldn't read my lips,
we're
but-
going to try to keep it at $1,000, which is why we were going to wait and start this in 2022 and time it in a manner that we can utilize it for those seniors that are coming out or those students that are already in classes. So we can borrow some more money by that into that fund. So if anybody has any additional comments or suggestions, certainly you can get them to me and I'll take that back to the committee. But we put a good amount of time in putting that together and I think we should all be very proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to mention too, thank you, Chef, PRLA today at the meeting, that was another thing, their scholarship for students are opening October 1st, the scholarship application process. So I'll be sending out some stuff about that here, but October 1st it opens, and they said thousands of dollars they have to give out. So they're anxiously awaiting doing that. So I'll make sure that you guys get that information as well. Okay, next up we have Chef Ben Bedard with our competition committee. Hold on. You know what time I walked up here? I didn't get a second.
Life is good, life is good. First food was fantastic. You guys did great.
Thanks.
So, somebody's doing a good job. All right. Well, thank you. So a couple things. Gonna work on this with Chef Sharon, Chef Nodder. Pretty excited about that. So, pretty heavy duty committee. We are in the infancy of going forward with this, and we're going to talk about purpose, what we're going to do, and how we're going to move forward. So purpose is to keep you all informed about what competitions are coming up. We will include those with the minutes. Talk about that a little bit more. The goals are to keep you all informed regarding competition, local and regional competitions, opportunity for TV, media, events, and competitions. Okay? Our objective is to increase participation of chapter members in competitions, support and guide chapter members who wish to compete, to become a resource and a guide to guide chapter members through the process. So I think what you have in the committee, Sharon, is like we all believe in competition. We've all done competitions. We really want to focus it on all of this, but really students. So I think we should have a student group eventually. Maybe this is year 2, Chef. But we want to go compete on a regional and national level. And we want you all to compete, and your students to compete too. And to me, this is where the real value of the ACF is. And when I go to ACF conferences, that's what I want to go see. I want to see people competing, and growing. As a chef instructor and going through this competition with the students, the growth is tremendous. You can just see you can't teach in a semester what they learn in a couple weeks, so, but this starts with a process. This starts with what we're talking about at the Giant Center is an open lab. And what the open lab is going to be is a time for anybody in the chapter to come to work on skills. We will present, here's the salon, the vegetable salon. That's what we work on. Perhaps another day we do a chicken salon, fish, those type of things. End of the day, it's we're really serious about competition. We really like it, and I think this is what really adds value to the ACF, in my opinion. So that's why we are moving forward with this. We're also going to learn the judging criteria. So we have some opportunities coming up, to learn how to judge. That was the biggest thing. That's the biggest learning lesson for me. Is I think there's a lot of great chefs here, but when you start to do a competition, there's different rules for different competitions, and we will teach you how to negotiate each competition and be prepared. Understanding categories, there's a ton of categories, so we're going to make a little cheat sheet that will explain what a K is, and SP is, what a hot, cold, all those type of things. What I think it really talks about, and what you really understand, is this organization skills and time management. And that's it. And that's what we will teach you to do. And I think this will also help you transition when you go for your certifications. I use the same mentality when we compete or certify. Create a question and answer format on the website for frequently asked questions. The long-term goal is to organize an ACF Harrisburg chapter competition and to organize a student team to compete at Chesapeake Cup in Maryland. All right, so I'll tell you why it's that important for us to start doing our own competitions. So the competition calendar right now is, like Chef Autumn said, October 10th is Great Columbus chapter.
Is this the ACF one they're looking at?
Yep. The next one is October 14th, Raleigh, North Carolina. October 23rd is the Great Culinary Classic, and that one is in Ohio. Next one is November on the West Coast. Next one is November 5th in Kansas City. So I think that what that says to us is, like, we are in dire need of having some competitions locally, and I think our goal is going to have one in a year here. And I don't think that's asking too much. I think we've all put on competitions. We understand what the process is. We will negotiate that with the ACF and get through this process. And we're pretty excited about all this. All right, so here's the competitions. You can see the categories being offered. We'll explain this to you. This means a whole, like, there's a lot. But there's not close enough. Like, it'd be nice to go to Columbus, but it would also be nice to go to Columbus with the team that would go crush Columbus. So I'm excited to compete, and I'm excited for you to compete, and all those that you work with us is you're going to be required to compete. I guess, is that too strong? Okay. Yes, sir.
I was just looking at, I mean, a lot of these chefs that are having these, or have joined our chapter meetings. I mean, there's definitely, if there's, there's a lot of connections here to be made, certainly. I was looking at them.
And I'm going to tell you about competitions. The first competition I ever went to absolutely got destroyed. Barely finished it. I was embarrassed as a coach because I didn't teach my students the right way to do it. That was very motivating to learn how to do this. And one person that helped me is California. Or keep going. It's November. Okay.
I know.
Randy Torres. And he is a community college teacher in Oregon. I just called him up and I said, Chef, can you help me? He said, Chef, absolutely. He is unbelievable. His platters are like out of this world. They give me tingles. His teams compete for gold medals on a regular basis. And I think that's what brings the ACF together on a national basis, is that you can step and talk to somebody, if you're a student, if you're a competitor, whatever. They're willing to help. Randy Torres came to our school to put on a competition and teach us the ways. So I'm really thinking about going there. That's a really good community college, and that's one of the strongest teams on the collegiate level. So I think that's about it. Chef Sharon, anything to add? And Susan Nodder, holy cow, she is going to Lyon, France tomorrow to watch her son compete in what competition, Chef Sharon? It's the counterpart to Bocuse d'Or, and it is the pastry competition. And man, you want to talk about some serious business. Yeah. So I mean, and she's part of the chair. So how lucky we are. Yeah. I will, 100%. Any questions? Laisha? Question? Okay, I thought you wanted to say something. Okay. Grace? You should. Yeah. I think the funny thing about it is because you get trained for it right now by your chef instructors, because these competitions, Julian is still a Julian, and Patnay is still a Patnay. And that's why we're looking at your math skills, and that's why we do that when we're not busy. Malaysia? What are we going to win? You're going to win a whole lot of, you can win a medal. You can definitely win a medal. If you win a gold medal, it helps you when you do your certification exams, right? But basically, it tells people around you, like, this person's dedicated a lot of time, effort. And the fact that, even if you get a certificate of completion, like, holy cow, that's a big deal. Because it's the process, and it's a lot of work. Like, for example, the teams that we coach, you're talking every day for 2 years, and then you compete, and you're hoping to really get a bronze medal at that point, So it's going to make you bulletproof, and it's going to make you undeniable. That's what you're going to win.
So, like, I know you were saying there were ones far away and y'all weren't like closer ones or something, but how would we be going out of state, or is it like in-state competitions?
Great question. Right now, there's nothing in state. So I see that as a problem. I think we all see that as a problem. We want to work with our teams in Ohio. Like, absolutely. We want to see the best of the best. we'll invite the best of us. When we do this, we'll find I was gonna say the worst, the toughest judges in the country, and there's some of them very tough and very serious, but we want to bring it here. This is a beautiful chapter, and it deserves that, and the culinarians around here deserve that. And imagine from all the properties around here, like the skill level you're gonna see. So that's where we're headed.
And I personally think the first step is I want to do a competition, and then starting the conversation, and then planning which one, and then see who gets to be blessed with your presence. Okay, so it's all over the place. It really is like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do. I'm thinking October. What comes up? Oh, I'm not gonna like November. I want that one. So you're a little ways off. I wouldn't necessarily pick a date, and that's where we're going for. Pick a concept. This is the one. There's plenty of great, and that's part of our mentorship program. If you're looking to get into a competition, there's 3 from the board or from the committee right there. But pairing up with someone and really learning about that competition, I think there's a lot of value to that. So that's your first step. Is I want to do it. Let me learn more about it and see how I can get involved, practice it, open kitchen at the Giant Center, and then pick a date and see what's coming up. But most of them, Baltimore I think is our closest.
Yeah.
But again, we're trying to bring it here so that you guys don't have to go out for it. But
You know, and this brings up a few things. I think Chef Autumn has that perfectly correct, Malaysia. So what are we talking about? You can do a cake decorating. You can do a pastry cold, a pastry hot, where it's you competing against yourself in about 90 minutes to present a required dessert. You do have some choices. Or you can do the hot food part. Or you can do be a team of 5 and compete against teams across the country. So like she said, there's a ton of options. You can do these crazy platters. Good luck with that. That will keep you up all night.
So the competition we're doing now, is it,
We'll talk about it. I think I'm getting fired up. And Cher's saying like, then you better get ready. But we need to to start teaching you like what it is. I think then we pinpoint what do you think you'll be successful in or what you want to learn. And I think the thing is like we're not going to win, you're going to like get better. I think that's the true nature of the ACF competition. So we'll figure that out. I mean, first we decide, is it hot food? Is it cold food? Is it sweet? Is it safe? You know, and then to talk about what Chef Autumn is doing as far as wanting to get sponsorship. I think this is critical to make us a very good competitive competing team. We were blessed. Like I started this in Pueblo, Colorado, where we sold breakfast burritos at 4 in the morning to 8 in the morning every Wednesday. And we got, we made a quarter burrito, and it took us forever just to go to one competition. Then we got a sponsor. It made life a whole lot better. So we actually cooked and prepared and did all these things. So I love the chapter. I love the things that Reese and Charlie and Biggie and all the dinners, like that should never go away. But the sponsorship, holy cow, it makes us really effective. Like then we can even pay dues for the students that want to compete that normally couldn't, and it just allows us to practice and to be a team. So I completely support that. I think it's a very smart decision.
so get your interests first, and then let's, because there's a whole lot to explore, and then actually picking, narrowing it down and starting going through that process. So yeah, there's tons that we can certainly share, and maybe an upcoming education of just the different competitions there are.
Agreed.
There's lots of opportunities. Well, thank you, Chef, very much. In the noticing the time, I mean, it is 5 minutes early, so I could certainly accept. I see everyone's look. Okay. So, does anybody else have anything for the good of the meeting they would like to add? Since we have time? No, nothing. Okay.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. I had the first with Kathleen, second I heard Judy and Barbara. But before we do, thank you so very much to, again, all of this meeting. Stuff is amazing. I know it because I'm taking it home. I'm going to try it all. Thank you so much. But just the hospitality being here tonight, things worked out great. I know you guys can't see, but there's this huge screen we're looking at in the front. Now I can see, so I'll step back. In any event, we were able to see you guys and you can see us hopefully. So I very much appreciate your hospitality. Thank you very much. And with that, I will go ahead and officially end the meeting then, since we have our first and second.
Bye,
Have a great night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you all, everyone, very much. Appreciate it.
I'll see you. Share, anything else,